incident. Okay? I'm going to go ahead then and I'm going to move real quickly and provide you some additional information on the earlier shooting. As you all know, at 6:40 p.m. on April 5th, Thursday, April 5th, an officer from the Austin Police Department conducted a traffic stop on the 6,000 block of Manor Road. The driver was stopped. Initially, it was a very friendly contact. Unfortunately, at one point, the driver decided to speed off and refused to cooperate with the officer. The pursuit began, ending in the 5200 block of Overbrook Drive. The driver exited the vehicle and began to flee on foot. The officer caught up to the suspect, and a physical altercation occurred. The officer involved deployed his taser in an attempt to subdue the suspect, whose physical description is he's 6'3", 200 pounds. He's a very big guy. Unfortunately, one of the prongs did not take, and the taser was rendered ineffective. The officer continued to struggle. The physical altercation became more aggressive and escalated. At one point, there was a violent struggle between the officer and the suspect over control of the officer's firearm. I have reviewed 911 tapes that are very telling, where people living on that street called in saying that they needed to get the police there right away, that this officer was about to lose control of his weapon, that this man was going to take it away. The officer, in fear of his life, fired several shots, striking the suspect. As soon as the suspect was secured, our officers, responding officers, immediately began administering CPR to the suspect that lay on the ground. At 7:02 p.m., the suspect was pronounced by, again, EMS at the scene. We know that this community, sometimes community members get emotional when they see a body lying there, but I just want to point out that sometimes folks feel it's out of disrespect, it's out of lack of sensitivity. But what's most important for us, once we've stabilized the scene, is to investigate. What's high on our list is to investigate an incident to ensure that we can provide the evidence that a grand jury and this community will need to see to make a well-informed decision as to the legality of the use of deadly force. This morning, our officer, as much as we didn't want to see him lie there for hours in the pool of his own blood, we recognized that in order to conduct an appropriate investigation, that was a sacrifice we had to make. And as you all know, yesterday some tempers did flare momentarily, but control and peace was restored very quickly. I've personally reviewed audio tapes. We have patrol car video, 911 tapes. And so this entire incident in certain pieces, because it's a moving incident with the suspect moving back and forth across the street, is captured either by video or by audio. But the most important piece that this community needs to know is that we have civilian witnesses that actually witnessed the incident, and that we're in a very good position to witness the incident. We will, in the interest of transparency, push to have as much of the audio and video released to the public sooner rather than later. And all I would ask for those folks that question whether or not it is a lawful shooting, all I would ask is that you wait to hold your final judgment until we release this information. I really believe in our community. I believe that people will make well-informed decisions once they see the evidence, and we are planning on sooner rather than later trying to put that information out there in terms of the audio, in terms of the video, and in terms of the 911 calls that came in from community members that were seeing this violent confrontation altercation with the suspect. The officer Involved is Officer Eric Copeland, C-O-P-L-A-N-D. He's been with the Austin Police Department since September 14, 2009. The officer was transported to a local hospital where he was diagnosed with a broken finger. I was remiss in stating that during the fight, the suspect grabbed the officer's radio mic cord and actually tried to choke him with his own cord. We have pictures of the officer's neck where you can actually see where that occurred, and that's supported by other evidence. The officer is Officer Eric Copeland, and he's been with the PD since September 14, 2009. He was treated and released. He has been placed on administrative leave with pay, which is our normal protocol, pending further analysis of the evidence and further in-depth review of the investigation, pending return of his chemical testing we do on all of our officers, which is standard procedure, and pending an evaluation by our departmental psychologist. The deceased suspect is Mr. Ahmed A-H-M-E-D-E Jabbar, J-A-B-B-A-R, Bradley, B-R-A-D-L-E-Y. He's a male black adult. Date of birth was September 26, 1976. Questions are asked why he was running. I can tell you he had a good reason. But at this point, I don't think it would be wise to discuss it much further. That's all we're going to release at this time on that, unless there's some specific questions that I can answer.
Can you tell us why he was originally stopped?
It was a traffic violation. It was a minor traffic violation that very quickly escalated into a very short pursuit, into a foot pursuit, and then ultimately into a physical altercation on the ground.
Did the officer call for backup?
Officers did start responding for backup as soon as he put it out. Yes, sir.
This altercation, where did this happen exactly? Was it someone's front yard or in a street or backyard?
It was in two different yards.